Peace, everyone. Welcome to Winning Wednesdays. My name is Errol C. Mango. Wednesdays at noon Eastern, we discuss current events in the stock market. So that's what we'll do today. We're going to give it a minute before we start. I've got a few articles I wanted to discuss today, a few reminders, and I wanted to go over some current events in the stock market, in the financial markets. So we're going to give it just a minute before we begin. Welcome everyone now joining. Who do we have here? Welcome Andrea, Detroit, Metro Detroit, welcome. Thanks for the support. What else do we have on here? Let us know where you're checking in from. All right. While we wait for people to join, let's see what we got going on here. I'm looking at the market right now, mostly green today. A couple of companies I see that are red, but major indexes are green. Bitcoin currently at 115. Let's see what else we have here. Meta at 770. We'll get into that just shortly. Peace, Jen. Peace to everyone just now joining. All right, let me share my screen here. Let's get into it. How are your portfolios doing? How you guys feeling about current market? All right, that's the live look at the market. S&P up slightly, NASDAQ up slightly. Apple, okay, I want to talk about Apple. I just saw an article right before we went live regarding Apple. Apple currently at 214.63. AMD, I want to talk about AMD a little bit, 162. Amazon 218, Bitcoin 115,300. Let's check Bitcoin right quick. I want to check the chart on Bitcoin. I believe it was just 113, just not too long ago. I think it was this morning. It was at 113. Let's see here. Okay, so that's the month. Okay, so that was yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, about 112. I thought it was earlier today. Is that? Let me go to the day chart. 1 day chart. 113. I thought it was about about 2 hours ago, hour and a half ago, about 113.8 roughly. So that's what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's currently at 115,400. Coinbase 297, Ethereum 3,600, Google 195, Eli Lilly down to 747. Microsoft pulled back a little bit since last week's earnings, currently at 526. Meta 771, Netflix 1100, Nvidia. Let's take a quick look at Nvidia. Let me pull up the right page here. Nvidia's been skyrocketing, currently at 177. All right, it's up about $1 today. All right, but Nvidia's been on a rocket and it's been going up a lot. Oklo's been going up a lot. Palantir's been going up a lot. Tesla, I got an article I want to talk about Tesla. Tesla currently at 318. TSM 231. ExxonMobil 107. Okay, so that's a live look at what's going on right now. Get back here. A live look at the major indexes, some of the mega caps I follow. Welcome to everyone just now joining. You might have seen today's description. I wanted to talk about what's going on with Trump and Big Pharma. I saw an article on Tesla I wanted to talk about. And also, right before we went live, I saw a new article on Yahoo Finance regarding Apple that I wanted to discuss. So let's get into some of these articles here. I want to share my screen, my Yahoo Finance screen. Actually, not Yahoo Finance. I want to share my CNN Business screen because I think this article is from about an hour ago. Let me share my right screen here. Share screen. Okay, so this is CNN Business. Let's take a look at what's going on with CNN Business. Okay, the first article on CNN Business, if I scroll down just a little bit right here, is this article right here. Apple, or let's see here. Let me make sure my screen get this ad out of the way. But this article right here, if you can see in the bottom left here, regarding Apple, I wanted to discuss this article. Let me just click right into it. If you can see here, Apple is investing another $100 billion into the U.S. Trump said to announce. So let's see what's going on with Apple. Apple is investing another $100 billion in the U.S. Trump said to announce, and this is from 1 hour and 11 minutes ago. So it's a brand new article. Let's see what this article says. As you might have just seen a minute ago, Apple's up a lot today. Let me see if I can get rid of this. All right, I'm out of free articles. Let's see here if I can find this on MSNBC. MSNBC. Let me see if I can find that same article. Actually, let me search the news like this. Apple. Give me a second here while I find this article on a different platform. All right, this one's Bloomberg. Let me share my Bloomberg screen. Share screen. This one right here. Let's see if this works. All right, it's the same. I think it's the same exact article. Okay, so this one will let me share either. Let me go back. New York Times. Let's see if this one will work. Actually, let me check Yahoo Finance right quick. See if Yahoo Finance will let us read this article. Let me pause the video right there. All right. Apple to announce additional $100 billion in U.S. investment following Trump iPhone tariff threat. Okay, so that's an interesting article. Interesting article headline right there. So just reading that article headline makes me think Trump was pressuring Apple, and Apple made a quote unquote investment. Let's see. Check the detail though. Apple is set to announce plans to invest an additional $100 billion in U.S. manufacturing commitments during a press conference scheduled with President Trump at the White House at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Wednesday. Okay, so that's this afternoon for all you Apple shareholders. The move follows Apple's prior $500 billion investment in U.S. spending, which includes working with partners to build an AI server plant in Texas. Okay, Apple's news comes after the Trump administration began pressuring the tech giant to manufacturing its iPhone in the U.S., going so far as to threaten to impose a 25% tariff on devices if the company didn't comply. So it looked like Trump's pressure on Apple has made Apple change course. Apple's announcement also comes as the company prepares for a new 25% tariff on goods destined for the U.S. from India. That's in addition to the existing 25% levy Trump previously said he would apply to the country's products. So Apple's currently at 214, up about almost 6% today, or about $12 to 214. Apple builds the majority of the iPhones headed to the U.S. in India after diversifying its supply chain beyond China following the COVID-19 pandemic. The company still produces iPhones for the rest of the world in China. Okay, let's pause right there. I want to highlight this sentence right here. Apple builds the majority of the iPhones headed to the U.S. in India after diversifying its supply chain beyond India. Okay, so here's a business lesson for us right here. What's the business lesson from that sentence? What's a business lesson we can take away from that sentence alone? Apple builds the majority of iPhones headed to the US and India after diversifying its supply chain beyond China following the COVID-19 pandemic. Is there a takeaway is there a lesson in that for us? Apple's in the top 3 or 4 companies in the world by market cap. They're obviously doing something right. They've been doing something right. There's a lesson we can take away as business owners from this sentence. The takeaway I have is diversifying from one supplier. If I'm heavily dependent on one supplier only, and that supplier changes course on me, changes the terms of agreement, stops doing business with me, I could be in a whole lot of trouble. So Apple has diversified its supply chain, not relying on one supplier only. They rely on several suppliers. So even if one of the suppliers starts acting funny, they'll still be all right. So that's a business lesson we could take away from Apple. Diversify our supply chain. Diversify who we're getting our supplies from. So we're not vulnerable. We're not subject to any one supplier. All right, let's continue with the article here. Trump has repeatedly criticized Apple for building its iPhones abroad, with the administration saying the company should instead bring its manufacturing facilities to the U.S. In May, Trump said he had a little problem with Tim Cook while discussing the company's decision to build iPhones in India. Okay, it's kind of ironic, right? I'm not pro-Trump, I'm not anti-Trump, but it's kind of ironic. Trump is pressuring Cook to manufacture in the U.S., and if you check the back of Trump's products, I'm not sure if they're built in the U.S. They might be built or manufactured in Asia, but I could be wrong about that. I do find some irony in that. All right, let's continue here. But industry experts say doing so would be a Herculean task even for Apple due to a lack of available skilled workers and limited supply chain resources in the country. All right, let's see. Even if those factors weren't an issue, it would take years this is what I was thinking here. It would take so long for them to pivot. Even if those factors weren't an issue, it would take years to complete construction of an iPhone plant, at which point Trump would no longer be in office. So Apple's in a tough situation there. If you're Apple, what would you do? Would you start building infrastructure here in the United States to manufacture your top seller? Even if you do that, it's going to take years for that infrastructure to be built. Do you do that, or do you just pay the tariff? So if you're Tim Cook, if you're an Apple executive, what would you do in that case? During its most recent quarterly earnings, Apple said it took an $800 million hit due to existing tariffs and anticipated an additional $1.1 billion in related costs in its current quarter. So according to that paragraph right there, Apple just ate the cost, it looked like, last quarter. Okay, the question is, do they continue to eat the cost? Do they pivot? Do they do a combination of both? These are all questions Apple's executives need to answer. Okay, so what's the best course of action moving forward if you're Tim Cook? Do you please Trump? Do you continue to pay the tariff? Do you do a combination of both? Do you do something completely different? So as a chief executive officer, as the leader of your company, you have to make these executive decisions. You have to make tough decisions, often actually. So Tim Cook's got a press conference with Apple's got a press conference later today with the president, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. They're going to invest $100 billion into U.S. manufacturing. All right, so it looks like Apple's slightly they're pivoting just a little bit. Okay, I believe Apple's a almost $3 trillion company. So they're allocating $100 billion into U.S. manufacturing. All right, so this article is a just dropped earlier, about an hour and a half ago. So you can check that article out on Yahoo Finance for all you Apple shareholders. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Apple making a investment here into the United States in terms of manufacturing. All right, so that's one of the articles I wanted to discuss. Actually, it just dropped earlier today. Let's see what else we have going on in Yahoo Finance. Trump slaps additional 25% tariffs on India. Trump is making good on a promise up tariffs over the nation's purchase of Russian energy. Okay, so that's another headline on Yahoo Finance. Let's see what else we have going on. Uber, I think I want to talk about Uber right quick. Actually, Uber had just reported earnings, I believe, today. This morning, I believe they had reported earnings. Uber in talks with banks, private equity firms to fund robo-taxis. All right, let's see what this article says right here. I think they reported their quarterly earnings this morning. Let's see. Uber is in talks with private equity firms and banks to secure funds to build its robotaxi business, CEO Dara said, as the ride-hailing giant bets on a mass rollout of the nascent and much scrutinized technology. The company has been offering robotaxis from Alphabet-owned Waymo on its ride-hailing app in Austin, Atlanta. Okay, so this actually just ties into what we just talked about regarding Apple's supply chain. Up until now, it looks like Uber was reliant on Alphabet's Waymo ride-hailing. Now, if they did not diversify away from Alphabet, they were subject to Alphabet's terms. They were vulnerable to Alphabet. Whatever Alphabet said must have went up until now. So it looks like they've pivoted away from that. It also struck a $300 million partnership in July that will allow it to deploy more than 20,000 vehicles made by electric vehicle firm Lucid and powered by self-driving tech from Neuro over 6 years. Okay, their CEO on Wednesday pitched the tie-ups as part of a larger plan that involves 3 robo-taxi business models: paying partners that own such vehicles a fixed rate, sharing revenue with fleet operators, and owning vehicles while licensing software and self-driving technology. Okay, is there a business lesson here in this paragraph? Is there a business lesson in this paragraph here? Their CEO on Wednesday pitched the tie-ups as part of a larger plan that involves 3 robo-taxi business models: paying partners that own such vehicles a fixed rate, sharing revenue with fleet operators, and owning vehicles while licensing software for self-driving technology. Okay, so I don't have any backup for what I'm about to say, but this is what I suspect Uber's up to. Okay, so Uber up until now was reliant on Alphabet for their driverless fleet. So it looks like Uber's made a pivot. Now they've got 3 business models. We just talked about each of the 3. Okay, so that's what it seems like that's what they're going to do now. And what I suspect they're going to do in the future is see which one of these 3 models pays the best, then scale back the other 2, or scale back one of the 3, and just go with one or 2 of them. So Uber is a big company, one of the top 500 companies in the world. They're pivoting. They never stay complacent. They're always adapting, just like Apple, another company. They're always adapting. We can take lessons away from these type of companies. Okay, so Uber's pivoting. They're trying these 3 business models. I suspect they're going to scale back in the future and just go with the top one of these models. Okay. All right, let's see what else this says here. Okay, Uber currently at $87.93. Just now 88. Okay, according to Yahoo Finance, Uber at $88 per share. We are talking to private equity players. We are talking to private equity players. We have talked to banks, the CEO said. Once we prove the revenue model, there we go. Once we prove the revenue model, how much these cars can generate on a per day basis, there will be plenty of financing to go around. So if you're one of these banks that Uber's talking to, you want to see proof of concept. You want to see that one of these business models is actually generating revenue. Maybe then you invest. Or maybe you invest a little bit up front. If this concept works, maybe you invest more later on. So maybe you don't go ahead and first. Maybe just test things out first with Uber. For now, Uber said it was planning on using a modest portion of its around $7 billion in annual cash flows to fund deployments. It might also sell minority stakes in companies to aid expansion, it said. Okay. Analysts have said that mass robotaxi deployment could lower driver-reliant Uber's operating costs and boost profitability. Okay, so let's forecast into the future. Let's look at the crystal ball and project forward. If you're an Uber driver, these driverless cars are on the way to replace you. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but someday in the future, that day's coming. Despite strong regulatory scrutiny and doubts about wider adoption, several companies, including Tesla and U.S. market leader Waymo, have been rushing to roll out robotaxis, a business Elon Musk has said could be worth trillions of dollars. Waymo is present in 5 U.S. cities, including San Francisco, while Tesla launched a robotaxi service in Austin in June and started ride-hailing operations in the Bay Area last month. Uber said it has not yet seen any changes in demand trends in Austin or San Francisco since Tesla's robotaxi service was launched in those cities. A lot of these companies, it does seem this will be a worthwhile endeavor. Are there lofty predictions about the robotaxis industry, totally addressable market? This person said on Monday. Okay, so that's another article from Yahoo Finance. You can read about it. Another, I think this article is from earlier this morning, actually just about 20 minutes ago or so, 30 minutes ago, regarding Uber. Okay, so Uber just reporting their earnings this morning, and they're already making moves. Okay, they're not staying complacent. We as business owners should not stay complacent either. Okay, we should not stay complacent either. What worked yesterday? What product and service worked yesterday may not work today. What product and service works today may not work tomorrow. So we must also be adapt. We must always adapt. We must always innovate. We must always check the competitive landscape. Okay, so that's what Uber is doing. That's what Apple is doing. That's what we can do. All right, so that's another article regarding Uber. Okay, regarding Uber. Let's see here. I want to share. I want to talk about earnings. Okay, the last couple of weeks has been big for earnings. Okay, some of the mega caps reported last week. I want to pull this picture up if I can expand it. Let's see if this picture. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is a snapshot of this week's earnings. Earlier this week, we had some big companies report, including Palantir. Palantir reported earnings Monday after hours. So did HIMSS. That was Monday. Yesterday after close, you see AMD reported. I want to check AMD's chart. I believe they pulled back just a little bit since earnings yesterday. Pfizer yesterday morning. Who else? Rivian yesterday afternoon. Lucid, Snapchat. Today, this morning, before market open, Uber, Spotify, McDonald's. This afternoon, for those of you that run option plays on the IONQ or own shares of IONQ, just know that they report earnings later today. DraftKings as well. Later this week, Celsius, Eli Lilly, Hut. Who else? Soundhound, Thursday after hours. Block, Thursday after hours. Those are the bigger names. Okay, so that's a snapshot of earnings this week. Okay. I want to talk about one of these companies. I just mentioned it, AMD. AMD has been on a run recently. I want to pull up AMD's chart right quick, and let's take a look at what's going on with AMD. Let me pull up AMD's chart on Yahoo Finance. All right, let's share that screen right there. Share the wrong screen. Share screen. AMD right here. All right, so here's a live look at AMD. Currently at 162. I believe they were up in the 170s. Okay, down about 6.5%, almost 7% today. Yeah, they were in the 170s earlier this week. Let's check their chart right quick. All right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here's the 5-day chart. Okay, 5 days. What day was this? This was 12 p.m. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so not too long ago, the end of July, they're up over 180. Let's see, beginning of the month, they were say 167.5, currently at 162. That's the 5-day, 1 month chart. That's what the 1 month looks like. 3 month. Okay, the last 3 months they've been doing well. Last 3 months. 6 months. Okay, so started off the year pretty rough for them, year to date. Yeah, if you see, they start off the year in the 120s. Now they're currently at 162 after a 7% drop today. Okay, so AMD, another S&P 500 company, currently at 162. Okay, so after their earnings, they have pulled back about 7% to 162. So if you like AMD, maybe now's the time you invest in AMD. Okay, so that's AMD. Let's see what else is going on here. And we talked about AMD. Uber, we talked about Uber. Those of you that own shares in Palantir have noticed Palantir Palantir is currently at 178. Okay, earlier this week, Palantir was, I believe, in the 160s, now in the high 170s. Okay, let's check Palantir right quick. PLTR. They reported earnings Monday afternoon. Let's see what's going on with Palantir. I think Palantir recently became one of the top 20 companies in the world. I'm not sure if it's in the world or is in just the U.S. here. But let's see what's going on with Palantir. Okay, Palantir is, in the 150s on the 1st of August, 156. Now it's $21 higher, currently at 177. 1 month up a lot. 32% in the last month, 12% in the last 5 days, 60% in the last 6 months, year to date, 135%. Okay, so Palantir currently at 178 now, 178. Up about 2% today. Okay, so they also had earnings this week. That's a live look at Palantir. All right. Okay, so that's a couple of the companies that reported this week. I wanted to discuss a couple articles I saw from since the last time we met. One of them has to do with Donald Trump and Big Pharma. So let me share that one. I saw this article. I think this was from either the end of last week or early this week. Oh, this was from Thursday. Okay, so this article is from last week, Thursday. MSNBC, Trump says he asked 17 drug makers to take steps to cut U.S. prices within 60 days. All right, so let's go through this article and see what it says here. Okay, so if you read through, you see that Trump sent letters to some of the biggest healthcare companies in America: Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Merck, GSK, Novo. Let's see what it says here. President Donald Trump on Thursday said he asked major pharmaceutical companies to take steps to cut U.S. drug prices within the next 60 days. On Truth Social, Trump posted individual letters he sent to 17 drug makers. Then they list the drug makers. Okay, so I forgot to mention AbbVie, AstraZeneca. Who else do we have here? Okay, a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies. Oh yeah, Johnson & Johnson's right there as well. Trump threatened to deploy every tool in our arsenal to protect American families from continued abusive drug pricing practices. If companies refuse to comply, he asked for each company to commit to his several goals by September 29th. Okay, 60 days. The letters have come after Trump in May signed an executive order reviving a controversial plan known as the Most Favored Nation policy that aims to slash drug costs by tying prices of some of the medicines in the U.S. to the significantly lower ones abroad. It was Trump's latest effort to try to rein in U.S. prescription drug prices, which are 2 to 3 times higher on average than those in other developed nations, and up to 10 times more than in certain countries, according to this think tank. Okay, so Trump wants these drug prices lowered by end of September. In the letters on Thursday, Trump said drug makers have proposed potential solutions for high U.S. drug prices, but he said those proposals promised more of the same thing: shifting blame and requesting policy changes that would result in billions of dollars in handouts to the industry. He said moving forward that he will only accept commitments from drug makers that provide American families immediate relief from vastly inflated drug prices and an end to the free ride of American innovation by European and other developed nations. Those are some big words from Donald Trump right there. Trump said in a collaborative effort towards lowering drug prices would be the most effective path for companies, the government, and for companies, the governments, and patients. Shares of drug makers fell following the announcement on Thursday. Shares of Bristol Myers Squibb and Novo Nordisk dropped nearly 5%. GSK and Merck's stocks fell more than 3%, and shares of Sanofi tumbled more than 8%. Okay, so Donald Trump wants these drug prices lowered. We'll see if that actually happens. Do you guys believe that'll actually happen? If I'm a big pharma executive, if I'm an executive of one of these companies, one of these 17 companies that he named, what do I do? All right. These executives have to make executive decisions on a regular basis. If I'm an executive of one of those companies, what do I do? Do I comply? Do I break off Trump a little something? Do I get my lobbyists to do their thing? What do I do? What do I do? If you're a chief executive of one of these 17 companies, what's your course of action? What do? Do you comply? Do you line Trump's pockets so he gets off your ass? Do you send your lobbyists to do their thing? Do you do something else? Do you not comply? Do you ignore? What's your course of action? Okay, you're just put yourself in one of these CEOs' shoes. What do you do? Do you do anything, or do you just completely ignore the letter? All right, let's see what else it says here. All right, here we go. This guy, senior VP of this company, the industry's largest lobbying group, said importing foreign price controls would undermine American leadership, hurting patients and workers. The group added that to reduce price differences with other countries, U.S. officials should rein in healthcare middlemen driving up costs for Americans and get foreign countries to pay their fair share for innovative medicines. All right. This company is referring to pharmacy benefit managers, insurers, and other payers. In separate statements, spokespeople for Pfizer, Novo and Novartis said they are working to find solutions to help Americans access and afford drugs they need. All right, let me reread that paragraph. They said they are working to find solutions that help Americans access and afford drugs they need. That doesn't say that they're lowering prices, right? They're working to find solutions. That doesn't explicitly say they're lowering prices like Trump wanted. Pfizer said the company's discussions with Trump's administration and Congress have been productive. Okay, this company's taken a little bit of a different approach. It said they're reviewing the letter. They haven't really made a decision on what they're going to do yet. The announcement comes just days after AstraZeneca said it has proposed price cuts to certain drugs in the U.S. Okay, to certain drugs in the U.S., and that the Trump administration is considering those proposals. AstraZeneca added that it is considering selling some drugs to patients directly, which is a move that companies like Eli Lilly, Novo, and Pfizer, and some other companies have adopted as patients struggle to afford. Okay, so is there a business lesson in this paragraph right here for us? What's the business lesson in that paragraph right there? The announcement comes just days after AstraZeneca said in its proposed price cuts to certain, they're going to cut. I can't read. Let's see here. It has proposed price cuts to certain drugs in the U.S. and that the Trump administration is considering those proposals. AstraZeneca added that it is considering selling some drugs to patients directly. Okay, is there a business lesson for us there? What's the lesson? What's the lesson there for us? Okay, we kind of talked about this last week or the week before. My takeaway from that is to be adaptive. Okay, if I see one of my leading competitors being direct to market, selling to consumers directly, and I know that's a successful venture, maybe I copy that. Okay, if I see one of my competitors doing something that's working, why wouldn't I do that myself? If I was doing something that's working, I'm sure my competitors are eyeballing me and going to do something and going to mimic what I'm doing. Okay, so the takeaway is to find out what's working and do what's working. All right, so it seems that these 17 companies are all taking different approaches. Okay, they're all taking different approaches. Drug makers are also bracing for the president's planned tariffs on pharmaceutical imported into the U.S. Okay. All right, so this is this article from MSNBC. I wanted to share Trump and Big Pharma. Okay. Trump and Big Pharma. All right, so let's see what's going on. Okay, there's an article, a headline on CNBC regarding Apple. We just talked about Apple. Okay, Tim Cook to join Trump at White House to Apple investment for the Apple investment announcement. We just talked about that. Trump views foreign investment pledges as gifts. Trade partners say that's a way off the mark. Okay, let's see what else here. OpenAI is giving ChatGPT to the government for $1. All right, what else? Super Micro stock sinks 20% after earnings. Outlook disappoint. Okay, Super Micro. Let me check my little cheat sheet here. When did they report? Super Micro reported. Looks like they reported earlier this week sometime. Okay, the stock looks to be down 20% according to this article. Okay, this headline right here catches my eye. Let's just see what's going on here. OpenAI is giving ChatGPT to the government for $1. In June, OpenAI launched a new offering called OpenAI for Government and said it was awarded a contract of up to $200 million by the U.S. Department of Defense. On Wednesday, it announced it will offer its ChatGPT enterprise product to the U.S. federal agencies for $1 through the next year, making its technology available to the federal executive branch workforce at essentially no cost. Okay, so I'm sure there's a catch to it. Okay, I'm sure there's some kind of catch. The company has been working to deepen its ties to lawmakers and regulators in recent months and will open its first office in DC early next year. OpenAI said participating agencies will get access to its frontier models through ChatGPT Enterprise, and it will also offer access to features like advanced voice mode with an additional 60-day period. The company has partnered with the U.S. General Services Administration to launch the initiative. Helping governments work better, making services faster, easier, and more reliable is a key way to bring the benefits of AI to everyone. Okay, all right. We talked about this contract. Company is currently engaging in talks with investors about a potential stock sale at a valuation of roughly $500 billion. OpenAI announced a $40 billion funding round in March and a $300 billion valuation. So OpenAI, I believe we talked about this a month or two ago. OpenAI is one of the most valuable private companies. Okay, OpenAI itself is not a publicly traded company, but it is amongst the most valuable private companies. Okay, I believe OpenAI is up there. I believe not Tesla. I believe Elon Musk's Starlink is also one of the most valuable private companies. Okay, so that's a headline on CNBC. Let's check the investing tab. Markets, U.S. markets. All right. Okay, so just get some metrics for each of these. All right, let's check some other headlines here. Anything else that catches our eye? Disney earnings top expectations as streaming parks offset TV headwinds. For anyone that owns Disney, down here it says AI is already impacting the labor market. Okay, that's not breaking news. We knew that. ESPN, okay, so Disney related. ESPN inks 5-year deal for WWE's live premium events. Okay, Disney, or Disney news there. All right, so these are some of the current headlines on MSNBC. I did see this article yesterday. Trump says JP Morgan Chase Bank of America rejected him as a customer. I did see that. Pfizer, after their earnings, they reported yesterday morning. Pfizer hikes 2025 profit outlook on cost cuts, strong quarterly results. You know, Pfizer going to make money. Down here, Moderna cuts high end of 2025 revenue outlook on vaccine shipment delay in the UK. Okay, that's some big pharma headlines. All right. Oh, yeah, this article we just talked about here. Some other big pharma headline here. All right, so that's a live look at MSNBC. Let me see if I can pull CNN Business up one more time. I want to see. Okay, let me share my screen here. Hopefully, I can do this correctly. Stop sharing that one. Let me share CNN Business. Check some of the CNN Business headlines. Okay, jobs report last week, Friday. What else do we have here? Okay, McDonald's also reported earnings, launched its biggest marketing campaign in history. It worked. Let's check out what's going on with McDonald's. Let's see what's going on with McDonald's. I think McDonald's reported this morning. McDonald's reported earnings this morning. Any McDonald's shareholders, they're working their marketing. McDonald's, okay, so it won't let me read. I think I read too many free articles. Okay, so you can check out that article on CNN Business regarding McDonald's. Okay, I read too many free articles. Okay, so there's a couple articles, one or two more articles I wanted to share. Let me see if I can pull this up here. This is from Investors Business Daily. Let me see if I can share this correctly here. Okay, it has to do with Tesla. Let's see here. Share screen. All right, let's see what's going on with Tesla. Tesla is currently at 317. Tesla down since robotaxi launch, just got sued over self-driving claims. I read an article regarding Tesla. They had a lawsuit in Florida recently. I think the state had blamed them, not 100%, but like 33% last week. I was looking for that article, but I couldn't find it. Let's see if it mentions it here. Tesla edged slightly lower in Tuesday's stock market as Reuters reported that the EV giant and CEO have been sued by Tesla's shareholders for allegedly committing securities fraud around their autonomous self-driving vehicle claims. That's a pretty big claim right there. Lawyers filed the class action lawsuit late Monday in Austin, Texas, federal court that seeks unspecified damages for Tesla shareholders between 2023 and 2025. Tesla launched its limited robotaxi ride-hailing service in Austin on June 22nd. Okay, so let's see what's going on with these shareholders. The shareholders in the lawsuit allege that Tesla and Musk overstated the effectiveness of its autonomous driving capabilities in order to prop the Tesla stock price. Oh, wow. Overstated the effectiveness. Musk late on Tuesday on X responded to the lawsuit. It's never actually investors, Musk said, claiming that instead it's class action lawyers grifting for their percentage of the verdict. Okay, so we'll see what happens with this lawsuit. Tesla stock fell as low as 305.50 before regaining ground, ending down about 0.2% to 307 at Tuesday's close. All right, so let's see here. Oh, here it is. Here's the article I was talking about earlier. The recent lawsuit comes just days after a federal jury in Miami, Florida found that EV giant partially liable in the 2019 death of a pedestrian who was struck by a Tesla vehicle that was in an autopilot. All right, so let's see. A jury of 8 people decided Friday that Tesla was partly at fault in the case due to the use and marketing of its autopilot tech. Okay, so Tesla will have to pay a large portion of $329 million in punitive and compensatory damages. Okay. Musk said on X Friday that Tesla will appeal the ruling. Okay, so I wanted to mention this. There was also another headline with Tesla just recently regarding Musk's compensation. I don't know if you guys saw that. I think it was yesterday or Monday that I saw that article. Okay, you might have seen that, but there's a couple of things going on with Tesla I wanted to mention. Tesla's been in the news regarding their recent lawsuits and also for Musk's compensation package. Okay. So that's some of the latest happenings with Tesla. All right. So that's what's going on with Tesla. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys own shares of Tesla? A few reminders before we continue. In terms of scheduling, let's check. Okay, scheduling tonight, book club, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. About 2 weeks from now in Atlanta, we'll have the A, B, and C. Great way to build out your network. Great way to meet people in the different classes. Great way to find business partners. A, B, and C in Atlanta in about 2 weeks. We talked about the book club. This Sunday night, for those of you in the WIN group, the Wealth Income Networking group, those of you in the WIN group, this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we will meet. On those meetings, we usually discuss option plays. I meet with that group every second Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we discuss options. If you're interested in joining WIN, just reach out to the Black Business School at, I believe the email I have here at support@theblackbusinessschool.com. So that's for all the WIN members. Sunday we'll meet. What else? If you're interested in consulting with me, some of you consult with me regarding options. Some of you consult with me regarding your business ventures. Some of you consult with me regarding, getting a second opinion on what you got going on. If you want to consult with me, just check me out on my website, lcmango.com. There is a fee, but the value you'll get in return is at least on the low end, twice as much as the expense, if not 7, 8, 9, 10x the expense. So that's if you want to consult with me. Let's see what else we have. Those of you not on the B1 Nation website, it's a great social media platform. You can connect with other like minds. B1 Nation. I think I mentioned that last week. For anyone not a part of B1 Nation, consider joining B1 Nation. What else do we have here? A couple of reminders in terms of scheduling. All right, let's see what else we have. I know I'm missing all these comments. Okay, let me go to the comments section. Let me catch up on the comments. Yep, coin has definitely taken a dive. Yep, that's true. Okay, so portfolio down. Non-emotional. Okay, yep. Andrea says Palantir up 500, almost 600%. That's true. Yep, 600%. Yep. Google's up. Andrea says Google's up 129%, but only have a handful of shares. Okay. Yep. Diversification. Always be willing to change your business strategies. Yep. Good business lessons for us, right? Always be willing to change your business strategies. Like I said, what worked yesterday may not work today. What worked today may not work tomorrow. What worked tomorrow may not work next week. Always be adaptive. Yep. Trump is going to announce Trump and Apple have a press conference today. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, be nimble in your strategies. Be adaptive. Always be adaptive. The top companies in the world are adaptive. Okay, NVIDIA doesn't sit around complacent. Microsoft doesn't sit around complacent. AMD doesn't sit around complacent. Me and you, as chief executives of our life, should not sit around complacent. Okay, so that's a business lesson we can learn. Let's see here. Yep, review your plans often. Okay. What worked 20 years ago, what may not work today. Okay. Ask Blockbuster, ask Intel. Let's see what else. AMD up a lot. Okay, yeah, AMD was up a lot. It pulled back after earnings yesterday, but still a strong, very, very strong company. Up a lot. Okay, what prevents Big Pharma from shrinkflation or adding fillers to meet his target? What prevents Big Pharma from shrinkflation? Big Pharma going to make money one way or another. Big Pharma, on that one article we were reading a few minutes ago, we saw how different companies are responding differently, right? So I'm sure Big Pharma will adapt, just like we talked about. They're going to meet their targets. They're going to generate a lot of revenue. They're going to remain the healthcare. Yeah, healthcare is the second. Healthcare is the second largest sector of the economy. So I anticipate that to be the same moving forward. Big Pharma knows how to make money. Pivot. Yep. Pivot when you need to pivot. Yep. Howard says pay off Donald Trump to get favorable benefits later. I'm sure Big Pharma is going to find a way to find some kind of work around those drug prices. They're either going to pass the cost to the consumer. They're either break off Trump something for him to ease back. They're going to find some way to adapt and keep doing what they're doing. Always improve. Yep. Always improve. Always innovate. Always ask yourself how you can improve your product or service. Okay. The same thing the top companies in the world do. The Mag 7 is always doing that. Musk is always trying to innovate and improve. Satya is always asking himself how he can innovate and improve. Jensen's always asking himself how he can innovate and improve. All the top executives in the world, even Trump, is asking himself how he can innovate and improve. Okay, nobody stays stagnant if they want to be successful. Let's see what else here. Okay, all right. So that's some of the comments here. Palantir, yeah, Palantir is involved with the government, does business with the government. Okay, we know community has largest. Okay, Palantir. So there's a comment about Palantir here. We know full well our community has the largest proportion of arrests, terrible circumstances. I was conflicted about Palantir, but stayed invested. Okay, there's a lot of these companies that are in the S&P that had questionable ethics over time, right? There's always going to be a point in time that you could point to. Apple did something kind of questionable, or whatever company in the S&P did something questionable, right? Did something questionably ethical. So same thing with Palantir. Same thing with Palantir. All right, I want to share my screen right here. Let's see what's going on in the market. Let's take another live look at the market here. I've got Tesla highlighted. Tesla currently at 317. All right, so just about all green here. AMD, like we said, down 7%. Okay, down $12. Even with that strong pullback today with AMD. AMD has just been shot up a lot recently. Still a very strong company. Okay, although they're down 7% today, currently at 162. Eli Lilly, I think when was Eli Lilly reporting? Eli Lilly reports tomorrow morning. Eli Lilly is currently at 745. Okay, down $20 or 2%, 3% today. Microsoft. Okay, so you saw Microsoft jump to the 560s last week after earnings. They pulled back a little bit, currently at 526. Okay, last week they had earnings. They killed their earnings. Stock was at like 560, 550, 560, I believe. Let me see if I go to the 1 month chart. Let's see if I could do that. If it shows correctly here. Let me see here. Okay, so this was okay, you see up there what they was at end of July. Okay, 550s. I think they had earnings. Oh no, here's where it jumped, right? But I think it pulled back. You see this gap here. 530s. Now it's currently at 526. I bought a little Microsoft this morning, 526. Meta shot up a lot last week, also from. Okay, they shot up to the 780s right there. Currently at 772. Nvidia currently at 177. All right, so that's a live look at the market. What else? Oklo at about 80, almost 85, 84 and a half. Tesla currently at 317. Okay, so that's a live look at the market. Any comments or questions? Drop them in the chat. Before we wrap, any final comments and questions, drop them in the chat. Today, we talked about several companies, Apple, Tesla, some of the big pharma companies. We talked about AMD. We talked about earnings today. We talked about Trump and Big Pharma. We took a live look at Yahoo Finance, CNBC, MSNBC, CNN Business, as well as Yahoo Finance. So that's what's going on in the market. Current events affecting financial markets. Bitcoin is currently at, let's check what Bitcoin is at. Bitcoin is currently at 115. Okay, so Bitcoin's pulled back a lot. Not a lot, but pulled back a little bit the last week or so. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 113 yesterday, 115 today. Okay, Bitcoin currently at 115,100. I've seen estimates on Bitcoin going up to 200, 300,000. A couple people I follow, I heard mention Bitcoin going up to 150 by year end. We'll see if that happens. Okay, another good investment right there, Bitcoin. Oklo and Palantir question. Yep, they are making gains. Yep. Andrea says Boeing, fraudulent Boeing. Boeing, just like many of the other Fortune 5 S&P 500 companies, at some point in their history, they did some kind of questionable practice. They were involved in something questionable, either ethically, morally, or whatever. Right? You don't become one of the top 500 companies in the world by, I'm sure a lot of these companies have a questionable background at some point in their history. Boeing's no different. Palantir's no different. Apple's no different. Some of these other companies as well. Andrea says, Figma, new IPO and hard to wait 6 months for leveling. Figma, I'm not familiar with Figma, new IPO. What does Figma do? Is Figma... Yeah, I'm not familiar with Figma. I'm not sure what they do. I'm looking forward to some of these larger private companies going public. Starlink, OpenAI, FIG is the ticker. Okay. Well, they're not public yet. We'll see. We'll wait till see what happens with those companies once they go public. But again, my name is Errol C. Mango. Every Wednesday, noon Eastern, we discuss current events in the stock market. We'll see you again next Wednesday. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the support. Hopefully, I see you guys in Atlanta in about 2 weeks. Until then, y'all take care. Y'all build out your wealth. Peace.